What would you do for $100 bill?
I will give you what's left of that $100 later.
Should we say, get lucky, baby? Ooh, ooh. I feel like I should have pulled that out of my shirt or something.
There's still time.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Hardly Working Podcast, the show where we talk about, what is it?
Life, love, and labor, hosted by the couple that works, plays, and stays together. I'm SP.
And I'm Kelly.
And this week, you messed up the intro.
Yeah, that's right.
Because last week I did.
Yes, but we did it again for you.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
No, we didn't. We went straight in.
Oh, gosh.
It's happening, everybody. Welcome to another episode. We're excited to be here.
That wasn't great.
It feels like it's been a long time since we've been in the studio because it actually has been a little bit over a week. Did you get some lip
I got
stuff on the
some lipstick
microphone?
on the microphone. Sorry, everybody.
Oh, my wife is going to be like, who was in
ASMR.
the podcast studio?
Me. What'd you say to me? Sorry.
I love that you're my wife.
I love
That's
that
what
you're
I
my husband.
was saying. It's been a busy week, and it feels like it's been a long time since we've been here because it has been over a week since we've shot a new episode.
Yeah.
And a lot has happened during that week.
Yeah.
Many, many things.
Tell me about it.
I will tell you a few quick things. I had a moment that was nice on Friday. So on Friday, I had just finished a gig and I was driving to the airport. It's rare that I can do a gig and fly out the same night. But
Yeah.
here's what happened. I was driving in this Uber in this Tesla Model 3, and I thought to myself, I was like, wow, this week I flew to Las Vegas and opened for Fat Joe and Ashanti.
Yeah.
And then rocked them out for the rest of the night at Dre's nightclub at the Cromwell. Then I flew home, hung out with you in Brooklyn, took B to school a few times, flew out to San Francisco, opened for the band Train,
Yeah.
and then rocked them out after they left too.
Yep.
And then as I was driving, I drove past America's Tires, and I
Yep.
was like, I do their videos, their training videos. I'm their host and spokesperson. And I was like, dang, things are good.
Yeah. Let's not forget to talk about your Sprouts commercial.
Yeah, and then I come back home. The next day we take Brooklyn to her soccer game. After that, my Sprouts commercial that I was like the host for the Fall Festival here at Sprouts.
Not a sponsor.
Came, but we're open to it. In a way, they're a sponsor. They did pay me, but not for the show.
Yeah.
And then that happened, and I
I
was
would
like,
try, just for the record, I would do a taste test of this is so off topic and I'm so sorry, but I would do a comparing and contrasting of Trader Joe's
versus Sprouts.
like fall things. We should totally do that next week.
Next week it's happening. I am a little biased. That's not true.
You could tell
I
us,
would be honest.
You
for
could
real.
be the expert of Sprouts and I will be the expert of Trader Joe's.
That sounds good. Now we know what we're doing next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little behind the scenes for
Number
you.
one.
But to have opened for 3 different artists this week, to have that Sprouts commercial come out, to have just be driving by, and actually I was supposed to shoot another America's Tires not commercial but industrial video for their training videos on Friday, but I was already booked.
Yeah.
I was like, things are going well.
Yeah, and can I add to this too, which I think is kind of cool. You're in an acting class right now.
Yeah, an on-screen class. Yeah.
An on-screen class with this acting
Robert DeVonzo.
coach or teacher that you've
Yeah.
been wanting to be with for a while. My biggest takeaway, all of those things, yes, awesome, amazing, cool. But this whole thing is about, this whole week was like, who's in, I'm sure you're going to talk about this and I'm sure I'm ruining this for you now, but
No.
who's in your family tree? And you had to like show that up, but you also had to talk about different shows that that you thought maybe you should be in right now.
Right.
And then who the casting director was. Right. And then he would also ask when was the last time you were around them.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really cool moment when you were up there. I'm not in this class. I'm just saying it secondhand. But you were like, oh yeah, like maybe you were saying Loki.
Yeah, you had to list 5 shows that you feel like you'd be right for. And I mean, I did put Loki on there, not because I feel like I was right for it, but it is one of the shows we're watching and loving. And I'm not watching a ton of current stuff. And the acting coach, Robert, was like, there's probably like 12 people in the class, 8 or 12, I don't remember.
Yeah.
He was like, what's Loki? And then everyone in the class starts talking about it. And he's like, who's the casting director? And I was like, it's Sarah Finn. And he goes, when have you met her? Or when did you meet her? And I was like, well, I mean, I saw her 2 weeks ago. He's like, where? I was like, well, at the premiere for Loki season 2. He's like, why? Why were you there? I was like, well, I was hosting. And he's like, you were at the premiere? I was like, no, I was like, and welcome out to the stage, like that guy. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're a host. And I was like, yeah. And all that to say, it was cool because I haven't told anyone in the class about that stuff. For many reasons, but it kind of organically came up, and it was a cool moment.
Yeah, to be like, all these people, I don't know, haven't told me, but I'm sure when he's asking, like, who's the casting director? When was the last time you were in the same room as them? I'm sure some of them was like, never, or like years ago, who knows? But for you to be like Sarah Finn, one of the biggest, I would say, casting directors, at least in the Marvel universe, because she is the one that casts for all of that. You've not only did you see her on a couple weeks ago, you've also interviewed her and met her and had conversations with her. Yeah. And I was like, that's probably a cool moment for you too.
It was a cool moment. Yeah. And that class, we'll get off of me here soon, but that class, I found out about it because I was reading over a year ago, I was reading Jenna Fisher's book. Yeah. Jenna Fisher is Pam from The Office. She wrote a book, I think it's called The Actor's Life. And she tells her story. And part of that story is when she got into Robert's class and how things changed. And she was like, but fair warning, if you want to get in this class, there's a long wait list. And I was like, okay. So I email like, hey, I'd love to have a spot here. He emails me back. He's like, there's an 18-month waiting list. If you want, I can let you know when it opens up. But also, most people don't. And I was like, who knows? What am I going to be doing 18 months? I have no idea.
In his class, apparently.
Fast forward, I'm in the class. I get the email. He's like, hey, there's a spot open. It's this much money. I need to know by the end of the day. And I was like, I was in the airport going to a gig. Yeah. And I was like, it was like $300 to hold your spot or something. Yeah. And I was like, I think I text you.
Yeah. And I went, go for it.
Yeah. I was like, I really think I should do this because it scares me.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I did it. And it is the highlight of my weeks right now.
Truly, it is.
It's difficult. It's a little bit stressful. It definitely makes me feel nervous. What was that?
I was like, not me, not Hermione. You, class. It's his highlight of his week. Okay, sorry.
That's right. Forget you guys. Anyway, the whole point of this is bragging, but also it's really to say I came to a realization because I saw this video on TikTok. Sometimes it's just so spot on. We mentioned last week, I think, that like my anxiety was crazy high last week. Yeah. And that's just kind of something that I have to deal with in my life. But this guy, it was a video of a guy behind the camera interviewing someone who was making pizza in what seems like Italy. And the guy asked, do you feel like you have a happy life? Like, are you happy? And he's like, happiness isn't something you can always have. Happiness is in moments. You have moments of happiness. Yeah. And he goes, I have a lot of those moments. And that reframed something for me. Because I'm the type of person who tries to capture feelings, tries to capture a moment, tries to be like, it's happening right now. Let's all appreciate it and see how we can keep it here.
Yeah, be here now.
Yeah, so that's the antithesis of that. And what I'm trying to do is just be in the moment. But when he said, like, it's not about having a happy life, that's impossible. There's ups, there's downs, there's everything in between. But it's about moments. And I have a lot of happy moments. I thought to myself, like, dang. I have a lot of happy moments, and I need to stop internally judging my life based on how I feel in a certain moment, particularly in those moments of anxiety, and start looking at it as like, boy, I'm married to my best friend. We have a kid who is so awesome and cool. Is never an issue. We have money to live. We have our own place. We have our own podcast and studio. We've got 2 cars. Like, there's just so much that I take for granted. Yeah. Or my achiever always says it's not good enough. You need to accomplish more. Sometimes I just got to be like, there's a lot of good moments, happy moments. So right now, happy life. So thanks for bearing with me as I kind of go through that whole piece of it. But it was a big week of, opening for headliners and that kind of stuff, which was very fun. But also a busy week. You had a lot of stuff going on this week too. You were super mom this week for sure.
Thanks, babe.
For sure.
Yeah, it's been a weird week. As you guys know, I own my own business. You're an independent contractor. I also do that as well in my own way. But it's hard sometimes. This week, actually today, the day we're filming this podcast, not the day this comes up, but the day we're filming this podcast is my best friend in the whole entire world's birthday.
Happy birthday, Shimaru.
But it's her birthday today. So we've been planning stuff to make it all happen.
Ooh, she doesn't even know what's downstairs right now waiting for her.
No, she doesn't, but she'll know by the time
she listens.
But it's her birthday today, and we've been planning something for this weekend, but I was holding a date for this weekend as well. that I just assumed a couple weeks ago just had fallen through. And so I was like, well, yeah, we can start planning stuff for Shim.
And I don't think you've said this, but it was a gig that's out of state in the South. It would be multiple booths. We're talking like
multiple days of travel. Yeah.
Tons of gear, hundreds and hundreds of dollars just in expenses to get gear out there. We're talking thousands of dollars in expenses to have the materials for the gig, and which means ordering materials. It means coordinating schedules up to, I think at some point we had 7 different people on this gig at one time.
Yeah, 5 to 6, I would say.
Yeah, so very large scale thing that you were trying to do.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Let's just say that. But the anticipation of like wanting to know, are they going to say yes or no? I finally had to give them a deadline. It was a lot, but we were talking about this a little bit in the car of like, it can just be stressful sometimes when trying to coordinate your work around your life and vice versa. And I definitely was feeling that as I was trying to like send off quotes, multiple quotes, like a couple quotes in 1 week, different booths, different options, all that stuff, to finally just get a no, which is totally fine. It's a part of the business is that you get some no's, you get yeses. Yeah. But it's a lot. It's hard. And it sucks. Cause like, I guess you said it, but it's with Simon's birthday. And so we are planning stuff and doing stuff, but it sucks to be like, this is my livelihood. And we said this, but if your no is somebody else's yes, if you say no to any gig that you could potentially be available for, it's somebody else's yes, and you may never get that call again. And this was a bigger company out in Georgia. Now I've told us where we are. We didn't say the states, but out in Georgia, great opportunity. Hopefully they'll reach back out again in the future. We'll see. But
yeah, it is tricky though. I think everyone can relate to that issue of work interfering with personal life. I think for particularly you, me as well, but for you, it interferes a lot if things are last minute.
Yes.
The amount of stuff that has to change in our life in order for you to fly 5 or 6 people out, including yourself, to do this gig in Georgia is huge.
Yeah.
Now, always grateful for the opportunities. It's just tricky because, like we'd had this date for a long time and we're like, it's probably not happening. And so we planned stuff with Shim. And then
with telling her that it could potentially happen. Totally. Still, like it was a tentative,
but still, when it did look like it was going through, it was like it's going to. I feel bad that I feel like I'm going to let Simone down because it went through, and she's awesome, and she doesn't.
And she really understood, but now it's all. But doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But still, it's like there's just so many dominoes that fall over with every gig that comes up.
Yeah. This would have been a good one though, and a big one. So it is a little bit of a bummer. And I love my friends and people that rally behind us because they really do rally like hard and continue to push. And I'm just so appreciative of that. The other side of it though, is that while that gig didn't go through, I booked a gig for September 7th, 2024 today. So like it's a give and a take, sometimes. And I have another, and within that same week I booked another gig in December. Yeah. And I also have a meeting to hopefully book another one. So it all works out in the end, but it is an interesting, you said a busy week, stressful for you. I was on mom duty, picking up Brooklyn from school, taking her to soccer practice. Making sure she's fed, bathed, done her homework
which is a whole nother thing right now.
Had some big emotions about, all in the midst of trying to figure out, can I make this gig happen and get all of the materials here that I would need and fly people out to where they need to be and X, Y, and Z, add it all on. So it's been an interesting week for me. I'm ready to have a couple chill days, but that's not in the cards this week either. And that's totally okay. It's all life.
Yeah. I think November will be the first time we get a day off, which will be very nice. But before November, we've got so much happening. Yeah. I'm very excited. It's still spooky season over here. We've got Halloween in like 2 weeks.
Yep. Brooklyn has her Halloween costume, just came in. She says, try it on.
Yep. We're going to do a little bit more themed stuff, especially not next week's episode, but the week after that.
Yeah. Can we tell them?
Sure.
That we're going to dress up for our Halloween episode. We are looking for some ideas.
Or just your favorite costumes that you've worn.
Yeah.
That we can
send pictures.
Yeah. And you can do that by sending them either through our Instagram at Hardly Working Insta or at our email, which is hardlyworkingfans@gmail. Speaking of reaching out and sending things like your favorite Halloween costumes, candies, etc., you want to get into some shout outs?
Yeah, tell me.
Okay. So I've got one here. It says, hey guys, my name is Alan from Nevada, and I just finished listening to last week's episode where SP talked about feeling bad for yelling at your daughter's soccer game.
Hi, Alan. Sorry.
Hi, Alan. And I thought I would share some recent experiences from crazy parents in hopes to make you feel better about yourself. So
Thank you.
Thank you. This is meeting me where I'm at, because this week's soccer game, while I didn't yell,
Our kid had a panic attack.
yeah, I don't know how you describe well, that happened, but Joe, that's Brooklyn's mom's dad. As they started the game, he said something to me. He's like, "Are you gonna
behave today?
Yeah, you gonna behave yourself today?" And I was like, "Probably not," but I did.
He meant it with love and kindness.
Yes. Oh yeah, he was just messing around. Joe's great. Anyway, here's what he says: I have 2 kids who are in sports almost year round, and this year the league had to end the season early due to parents being abusive towards the refs. We've had parents make racist remarks to our players from the sidelines, scream at their kids to push players, or fake injuries to run out the clock. So I assume this is probably basketball.
Dang.
Oh,
Did
and
you say baseball?
It's both. Oh, he's got 2 kids, so
Okay.
multiple sports. To run out the clock at baseball last week, we had a few parents come to the bleachers on our side and heckle the players in our dugout.
That sucks.
So
Parents
thank you.
are intense.
Parents are. People are rude. How about that?
Yeah.
People can be rude, especially when they get competitive.
Well, especially when they're here to protect. They think it's protecting their children too. They can,
Exactly. Yeah,
almost
which is what happened to me.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. Is that the whole story?
No, there's a little bit more. Some of the parents and coaches have been downright abusive to their own players, like the angry dad where you leave worrying about what the kid is going to get at home because they lost a friggin' travel team soccer game.
Sucks.
It's out of control. Anyway, what you described last week seems like nothing in comparison. Keep fighting the good fight, Alan. P.S. Quote, the person doing the laundry is not responsible for anything left inside pants pockets. Thanks, Alan.
He's right. I'm just saying he's right.
We agree. 100%.
We agree. Thanks,
100%.
Alan.
Yeah, people be crazy out there.
Yeah, parents have big emotions too. I know we talked to my mom after that, and I know
we talked about that on the show last week, I think.
We did.
Yeah.
My mom picking up my not my mom picking up my brother. Someone picking up my brother. But yeah, I mean, you just never know how it's going to come out at the end of the day because it's like a fight or flight kind of thing.
And I
for your
thought,
kid. Yeah.
which is so weird because I'm not a fighter. I am a
high
lover.
intensity moments. I think you are.
Yeah. Oh, I realized something at the game this week. So you know this about me. I'm not sure if you listening/watching know this about me, but I made a choice in high school to no longer be competitive.
Yeah.
It was a choice that I made
Yep.
because I didn't like the way that it made me feel.
Yeah.
Now, this was mostly around sports, particularly baseball, because by the time I was finishing my athletic career, it was mostly just baseball. The basketball and football and all that stuff had gone away.
Yeah.
But I made that choice basically to stop playing sports.
Yeah.
I realized that being at Brooklyn soccer games brings out that same feeling that I tried to get away from.
Yeah.
Which is either something I need to work through in therapy or I need to not be at the games. I have no idea.
Well, you can't not be at the games.
It's true. But
So
I
probably
realized
therapy.
that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And I can tell that you're like, when I said I'm not competitive, you're like,
I mean, you can turn it on for sure.
yeah, but most of the time I'm just making jokes.
For sure. Every now and then, though, when you're like, it's important to beat this person.
Can you think of a time?
Well, like games for gift cards when we do every year. Sometimes you're like, I'm going to beat Ryan and Sean. Like, I'm going to be the one.
You know what's funny is
but also have fun. But like, you can just turn it on sometimes.
What's funny is if it bugs somebody to get beat by me because they're competitive and I'm not, that is fun for me.
Yeah, you become more competitive.
It's not competitive.
But it comes across as that, I would say. I understand. For you, it's like, I'm going to beat. It's going to annoy them. Yes. Yeah, but I would call that being competitive because you're like, well, then I'm going to like actually try and I'm going to beat you just so I can win and you will be annoyed.
Well, let's see how it goes this year.
Yeah.
We should film all of games with gift cards.
I'm hoping Brooklyn plays with us a bit this year.
Yeah, she's old enough now. She can get a couple rounds of Uno in there.
100%.
Anyway, if you want to hit us up, reach out, or just follow us, check us out on Instagram at Hardly Working Insta, or send us an email about your unpopular opinions, helping me and my ego be consoled, or stories, whatever you want to send us at our email, which is hardlyworkingfans@gmail.com.
Yep.
Now, I heard you brought a little game.
I did.
Okay. You want to get it out?
Yeah, I'm going to stay in theme. Sorry. I'm going to stay in theme for the Halloween spooky season.
Okay.
I just want to give not a spoiler. What's the word?
Like caveat?
Yes, that some of these are adult themes. So if you have any kids listening, it's spooky season. It's Halloween.
Oh, so adult themes in the sense that it might not be appropriate if you're watching or listening around kids because it might be violent or gory or something.
Or it might prompt a conversation
Trigger
that
warning.
maybe you're not ready to hear about.
Smart. You're a
so
good
this
person.
game
Yes.
is called, we had a title for it, but something about this. It's Horror Nights or Hell House. You decide.
Is that part of the name, the you decide part?
Horror Nights or Hell House. You decide.
Okay. Horror Nights or Hell House?
Okay.
You decide.
So let me break it down. Do you know what Horror Nights is? Halloween Horror Nights that you can go to at like
Universal and
Universal, all that stuff. And so you know the premise for the premise of that is like you go to be scared, and they have like haunted house attractions. They have different characters from different movies
like
that
American
are scary.
Horror Story.
Yeah. They have like scary
or
things,
Stranger
people that kind of
Things.
chase you around, different things like that.
You
Right?
would never find me at a place like that.
Me either. For the
Ever.
record, have you heard of Hell Houses?
Is it a TV show?
I mean, there's a documentary about it, or
It
like
sounds like a
docuseries about it.
paranormal show that we watch.
Yeah,
like
it's not.
Ghost Chasers and Hell House.
So a Hell House, which I learned of recently, and I actually think you've been to one of these. It probably wasn't called a Hell House
That doesn't sound right.
in Oklahoma, but it's put on normally by a church, normally by a Christian church.
Oh my gosh. Can I explain it?
Yes, you can.
Oh my goodness.
You have been. See, I told you.
In a past life, I used to go to college in Oklahoma. I don't recommend either of those things, college or Oklahoma.
Go to college if you're passionate about it.
Sure. But let me tell you what I really don't recommend. What'd you call it?
A Hell House.
I don't recommend a Hell House. Let me describe to you my experience at a Hell House in Oklahoma. You go there, it was me and I don't know, 5 friends, something like that. Shout out to my buddy Victor Hammer. You're a rock star. We go to a church, the church that we would go to at the time. I forget what it was called. Probably called Victory. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. Large church, very large church. And they take one of their buildings and they build it all out to be, I was told, like a scary kind of haunted house thing that you walk through.
Yeah.
That is not what this frickin' is. And it's not what it was. I should have known because the first thing you have to do is sign a waiver, a medical release form, in a form that says that people can touch you, but you can not touch them. First of all, if you ever have to sign that, get a lawyer involved because there's not a lot of situations where someone should be able to touch you without you touching them.
And just
that's
for the record,
not okay.
that
That's
is-
not consent.
That's the same rules at Halloween Horror Nights. They can
Is
touch
it?
you, but you can't touch them. Yeah, they probably won't touch you, but it's just basically to say like you can't hit them. But
which
if
is
they accidentally
fine,
touch you, yeah.
but you do not want to be legally and contractually obligated to not be able to do something
Yeah,
if
yeah.
someone's doing something to you.
Yeah.
That's just stupid. Here's what happens. We sign all those forms because I'm an idiot 18-year-old. We go in through a dark hallway, and the first thing you see, what am I ready for? I don't know, Jigsaw from Saw, some scary guy on stilts.
Nope.
No, it is a school bus that has crashed, and it is full of children who are screaming. This is going to be the caveat too. Don't listen to this with
Trigger
kids
warning,
around.
yeah.
This whole story. These kids are covered in blood. They're missing limbs. They're dead on the floor because their school bus crashed or it blew up or whatever. And I was like, oh, this is different than what I thought. You turn the corner and it's they built a set and it's a dad in like a smoking jacket and a pipe and glasses and he's reading and just generally keeping to himself, but you hear something through the door behind him, which is his kid like screaming. So guess what door you walk through? That door. And that is where you see this out of control teenage girl basically, how do we say it in an internet way? Unaliving herself.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right in front of your eyes. That was awesome. Let's fast forward to the next room. You're in a school cafeteria. A bully comes and knocks a tray out of a kid's hand. We can all guess what that kid does, what he brought to school, and then unleashed on everyone in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And you just had to watch all of that. Granted, I'm in Oklahoma.
Get to the end because you're going to ruin pieces of my game if you keep going.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of other scary things that
not to be
happened.
mean. Yeah.
So you go through a lot of things, including some of the stages of hell. And when you leave, you've got all of these cute people who volunteer at the church going, oh, can we pray for you before you go? And do you want to accept Jesus? And I'm like, I want to go home.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
And
stand
watch something happy and joyful.
And try not to go crazy. And so then the following Sunday or whatever in the main services, they're like, here's what happened. Look at all these people. 15,000 people came to the Lord because of our hell house. Let's see how far it's a whole
It's crazy.
nightmare thing. So that's my experience. Don't go to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So Hell House, I know what it is. I'm familiar.
But it's not just in Oklahoma. It is a thing that spans across many states and many churches that do this. They literally put on a Hell House. So I'm going to describe to you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try. I came up with these myself. So let's see how good they are. I'm truly not very good at this, but I'm going to describe to you things.
Okay.
Give a definition, and you will have to tell me, do you think that's something that's at horror nights or something that is in a Hell House? And you can even try to guess, like, what do you think I'm talking about?
Okay, so I won't even know. You're going to describe it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So, for instance,
Yes.
the first one is men in dark cloaks trying to kiss you.
My heart says Horror Nights.
Okay, why? What do you think?
The kissing part seems like something that might be not encouraged at a church function, unless they're talking about like predators. I'm going to stick with my initial guess, though, Halloween Horror Nights.
Okay, you would be correct.
Yes.
That was me describing Death Eaters. Do you see how this is going to work?
Oh, so they're not really kissing
Or not
people.
Dementors, not Death Eaters. Dementors. Sorry.
Got it. Harry Potter Dementors, they suck the life out of you. But
Yeah. Through a
they
kiss.
don't really, the Dementors kiss.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So it's a little bit of a riddle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I couldn't just come out and be like, this thing, what do you think? Because I think it would give it away.
Got it.
Okay. Demons follow you into a bedroom and a choice has to be made.
Okay, my initial blink says Hell House because it's demons. A choice has to be made. I gotta like solve the riddle. They follow you into a bedroom. Is that like a coven? Is it like a? Okay, it's probably not that.
Sorry, it's just funny to watch you go through it.
Demons follow you into a bedroom. It sounds like Eyes Wide Shut with Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise, but it's not that. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. It's Universal because I think you're gonna try to throw me off with the demons to make me think it's church.
You would be incorrect.
No!
It is Hell House. This would be an unaliving yourself scene.
In a church
In
thing?
a church.
In a Hell House?
Yeah, in a Hell House. Which you already described. But yes, it's real, guys.
So they have like people dressed as demons encouraging you to self-harm.
But yeah, I don't know that it's that as much as it's the scene that you described where someone's in their bedroom and they're trying to see. I'm trying to be tricky and not give it away for you. Am I doing a good job?
You're
Is
doing
it
a great
pretty
job,
good?
yeah.
Okay. I have them in like weird rows, so don't mind me. I
Alrighty.
should turn it this way. Sorry, so you can't see.
I can't wait to say the rest of the stuff that I saw if it's not on your list.
For sure. Alcohol, blood, and broken bodies hanging out of cars. A nightmare in real life.
That's got to be a church. That sounds like a mixture of multiple things I saw.
Okay.
Is it a Hell House?
It is a Hell House.
Yeah.
It was a deadly car crash after a night of drinking. That's from Abundant Life Christian Church.
Oh, there's one of my faves. So what gave it away for me, I think, and maybe this will be different later, but the alcohol part of it, because obviously many religions frown upon alcohol, and I don't think Universal is going to be one of those places. They'll be like, please buy the booze. It won't cause you to crash.
That's true. It's true. Okay, a book filled with knowledge that can either save you or destroy you.
Oh, that can go both ways.
I know.
I originally thought Horror Nights. Like, kind of not Harry Potter, but like that idea, some magical book. But also, obviously, every religion has a magical book that can save you. So I'm going to go Hell House.
You would be incorrect.
Wow, I'm not great at this.
It's okay. I tried to make it hard, and I'm glad to hear that it
You're
was hard.
You're a good host.
Thank you. So this is from Horror Nights,
Okay.
specifically the Book of the Dead.
The Book of the Dead. Is it related to a property that I know?
Evil Rise. I don't know.
Evil Rise. It sounds like a zombie movie.
Yeah, I wasn't really. Yeah.
Okay, so that is a Universal
But
thing.
it is a Universal property, and it is, or Universal thing, and it is based, and I guess I should say, I took all of this from Universal Studios. I didn't take from any
Is it
other
Evil
Hornets.
Dead?
Evil Dead Rise? Maybe?
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. That's a zombie movie.
Yeah.
Or
So,
franchise,
But it's a
really.
Book of the Dead that can bring people to life.
Yeah, usually they like find it in the basement and they're like, what is this? And they say the things, and then all of a sudden, remember that movie, Cabin in the Woods?
Yes.
With
Chris Hemsworth.
what's his hotness? Yeah, Chris Hemsworth.
I do.
Yeah, a little bit
that
like
one.
that.
But that was different. No
Yeah, that was a
spoilers.
campy kind of thing.
Yeah.
We should watch that again. Yeah, right into the microphone. Clear that throat.
A killer is on the loose. And his weapon of choice?
Don't say a different religion's Bible. Is this a fill in the blank? What is this?
Is a sharpshooter. I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say. So I have things written down, but
his weapon of choice is a sharpshooter.
A shooting weapon.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know what I can and can't say. Like I said, trigger warning. I don't know.
All good. That's church. It's got to be a hell house.
Yeah. That was what you described as well. School.
Oh,
kids.
okay. I hear it. Yep. Okay.
It's real. Yeah. There were quotes from people, by the way, that I chose not to put in here.
Because it was so traumatizing for the people?
Yes. Because they were like, it was like you just had to sit and watch it happen.
Yeah,
and also be scared because you're then become a part of it.
Right. And guess what? They can touch you, but you can't touch them. Yep. Look, this is my problem with the whole hell house at a church thing.
Yeah.
It's like a scared straight thing, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, we're going to show you the worst things. Like you will see your greatest fears lived out. But don't worry, we have the solution. Can we agree on what that's called? That is called manipulation, and it's not okay.
Especially when it's tied to like real things that happen to people that you then make really scary and you think it's okay to like show it. And then you're like, I'll pray for you. Like,
I'll pray for you.
How about maybe don't put us through something that we feel like we need prayer for afterwards?
Yeah. And also, we scared you into a lifelong commitment.
Yeah.
Thank God like DirecTV doesn't do that.
Could you imagine?
What's next?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
A toy meant for good has become evil and begins to cause harm to those around it.
Definitely could go either way, but I'm going to say universal because it seems a little bit like Chucky the doll or Megan the doll.
You would be right with Chucky. That was ding, ding, ding. It's Chucky. Okay. A place filled with your biggest fears and scary monsters.
Hell house.
And
scary monsters? Because the whole thing with Hell House is, is your biggest fears. It's like everyone's fears. Yeah. So if it's demons / monsters, I'm going to stick with Hell House then.
And what do you think it is?
Oh, it's a specific thing.
I'm just curious.
I think it's the world.
I thought you were going to say hell. You'd be wrong. The answer is actually Horror Nights, and this would be the Upside Down.
Yeah, from Stranger Things.
Yeah, I picked ones that could be either way.
Nice.
Okay. Something growing inside you. There is something growing inside you, and you're not sure if you can handle whatever it becomes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Is that it?
That's it. You're not sure if you can handle whatever it becomes.
Because that certainly goes both ways. Excellent question.
Thank you.
Because is it an alien baby that is inside of you? You know, that like an alien latched onto your face and is growing its child in your body? Or is it just an unwanted pregnancy that certain people would say is a problem? I'm going to go with the latter, which I think means the second one. I'm not sure. It's a hell house.
It is a hell house. And it is what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
And that's an actual literal scene that they have. I mean, they're all really scenes.
Where they have to like make the choice?
I think you watch it happen.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Isn't it crazy? I'm like, churches, you're doing something wrong. I don't know. And like the knowledge you have to have too, to like show those things.
Not to mention the sheer, certainly misinformation. If you're seeing something like that, you're probably not seeing the reality of that. Yeah. You're seeing the, I don't know. I don't want to call it glamorization because that is a positive. Yeah. The dramatization of it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So come on. Is that the last one?
I have one more.
Okay.
Night is when the evil activities start.
Ooh, that feels very Bible Belt. But also, it does obviously feel like something from a horror movie. Night is when the evil starts. My heart says Purge Universal.
You would be 100% correct.
Yeah.
But I did a good job of making you think this. And then
awesome.
That could have been great.
That was really good.
So now y'all know. If you want to be scared, go to Horror Nights. If you really want to be scared, find yourself a hell house.
I thought you were going to say, if you really want to be scared, go to church. I was like, that's a weird stance to take.
Yes. But I meant like hell house.
A hell house at a church.
Because I will say this, when looking at comparing, because I had a bunch of different ideas, but when comparing different like experiences, most people that went to a hell house came out pretty traumatized, and like their quotes were insane, where I was like, oh, I don't know. Whereas most people at Horror Nights were like, yeah, like one guy touched me and it was kind of weird, whatever. You know what I mean? Or like I got freaked out because there was someone behind me and they sneezed. Like it just isn't a 1-for-1.
Yeah. And can I just say this about, I will frame it with the Hell House background.
Yeah.
But also this could be for many different things. So if you think of something as I'm talking, it can be about that too. People need to think through not the solution and what they hope will happen, but the potential damage they're causing for people.
Yeah.
Not everybody is going to come to Jesus after your Hell House, but a lot of people may have to go to therapy for the rest of their life because maybe they saw something played out in front of them that happened to them or around them, and it's immediately triggered them. Well, it's not all just like, oh, the number of people that came to Christ. It's like, what damage are you doing and at what cost?
Well, and that was one of the quotes that like I didn't really talk about, but it was like one of the Hell Houses was like told a story. And so it was like you watch an abusive father with a kid, and then you watch that kid
oh my God,
kind of like grow up and start drinking and get crazy, get someone pregnant. They have to deal with that. And then ultimately he died in a car crash.
After all that.
And you see, because he drank so much because he had been abused, and he was just, and he's like hanging out of the body parts and blood. Like the quote was like, there was so much blood. So much blood, and it looks so realistic. I was like, I don't know.
Good news.
I see enough of that in TV if I want to. Like, I don't know that I need to walk through and see it realistically in front of my eyes. Yeah.
If your worldview is based on hope rather than violence, maybe lean into the hope part and not the violence part. Because that stuff does traumatize people.
100%.
Did you see my reaction when I remembered what it was?
Yeah. Did I see it? Yes.
Because I also watched, the Hills Have Eyes type people in big, like rubber robes and hacksaws and meat cleavers kill someone in a bathtub at this same church.
Oh yeah, no thanks.
Like,
unalive someone.
It's a lot. It's too much.
Yeah. So Hell Houses, will it work? Nah, that's whack.
All right, you ready for some unpopular opinions?
Yes, I am.
All right, so I pulled a few. Rather than doing polarizing opinions, there was only a few that were really polarizing. Okay. The first one was 95% to 5%, and it was that Amazon Prime Day doesn't really have any good deals.
It's true, unless you're looking for something in particular.
Exactly.
And it goes on sale.
Totally. And Now, one other one I want to talk about, because I only grabbed 4 this week.
Okay.
My 4, like, kind of real ones.
Okay.
But I do want to ask you, and I could probably pull it up as I do this. I want to ask you your opinion on this because I was definitely in the minority.
Okay.
It was dudes should use foundation or other beauty products for a huge competitive advantage.
I agree with the beauty products.
Only 18% of people agreed, by the way.
I don't know that boys need to wear makeup unless it makes them feel more comfortable. But I think beauty products range from like face wash, moisturizers, sunscreen.
But I think this is specifically like to have a visual difference because it says like a competitive advantage. So whether that's like in terms of dating or your online dating profiles or just setting yourself apart, beards are kind of the makeup for dudes, but also like, why wouldn't guys cover up some blemishes if they were going to be on camera?
For sure.
I have makeup on all the time for shoots and gigs and stuff like that.
I think that is cool. I'm saying if you want to, I think totally do it. I don't know that guys necessarily need it. I don't know that girls necessarily need it, but we've told ourselves we do, so we do.
Right. That's the culture.
But I will say that boys can have a competitive advantage just by like learning a little bit about their skin and taking care of it. Yeah. Making sure they don't have a unibrow, trimming down their beards correctly and not just being scraggly.
Yeah, moisturizing, putting sunscreen on,
they're using a face mask every now and then. Yeah. Going to have a facial. Like I think all of those things have become things that are girly, but I actually think it's just good for our skin.
I agree. So we are in the minority here, but I still think we're right.
Yeah.
Which means 72% of people, 82% of math. I was told there'd be no math.
I want to know why though. So if you voted no, you don't think boys should do that. I want to know why. Like, why do you think they shouldn't care about their skincare? Do you think it makes...
I don't think they read it that way would be my guess.
Oh, okay.
That's my guess. But...
Well, then tell me, do you think boys should think about their skincare?
Yeah, because they're humans.
Not just makeup, but if it's just skincare, then do you say the opposite? I'm curious.
Let's find out. But not before we jump into these unpopular opinions.
Was that not one of them?
So I put 12 up this week.
Oh, okay.
But there's 4 that I want to talk about. I just wanted to throw that in there because I wanted to get your thoughts on the makeup thing.
Okay.
Because I actually do think it would set people apart. Anyway.
Yeah. I just don't think it's needed, but yes.
Here's the first actual unpopular opinion. 67 people agreed, 33% disagreed.
Okay.
Money won't buy you happiness is BS. The phrase money won't buy you happiness is not true.
I mean, I think money can buy you a lot of things that bring
Yes.
you joy and happiness.
I agree. Here's my thought on this is I think many people who are reading that are obviously living in the same world we all are, which is like everything is so freaking expensive.
Yeah.
Want to buy a car, a house? How about just groceries? We went to breakfast. It was like for me, you in Brooklyn, not at a sit down place. And it was $29 at that bakery up the street.
Yeah.
Everything is so expensive. So I think that people are probably reading it through this lens. I understand that if you're thinking of happiness as like ultimate happiness, you got to find that within yourself. But I think most people are reading it the way I just described.
Sure. And I think that's how people read it in general of like, yeah, having more money would make it easier to live. This is what I'll say. No amount of money changes who you are at the core of who you are.
For sure.
So if you are a pessimistic person and someone who treats people poorly or like doesn't enjoy being around other people or whatever, like no amount of money is going to make you find joy in the things that you hate.
For sure.
Right.
Yep.
So but I think if you're a genuine person and you enjoy making conversation and you enjoy hanging out and talking to people and you just find happiness in taking a walk outside or whatever, I think money can help you have more of those type of experiences and can give you the freedom to be able to do things either for other people or for yourself without the fear of like, oh, am I going to be able to pay my bills?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Which I think can equate to happiness if you are just normally a happy person. But I don't think money solves the problem of if you're not happy.
100%.
But I think it can elevate your life status and the things that the potential of things that you can do in the world that innately bring people joy.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
100%. Money won't ultimately make you feel everything you said. I agree with. Money won't buy you happiness, but it will solve a lot of your problems and it will buy you a lot of margin. Like it will alleviate a lot of stress.
For sure.
And yes, more money, more problems. I would say more money, different problems.
Yeah.
But like if you're like, I'm paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to pay rent, or I'm even really hard things like I'm deciding, am I buying food for my kid or am I buying, this medicine they need or whatever it is. Like money can buy you margin for sure, which will in turn generally buy you a little more peace, joy, happiness. So I think honestly, money can buy you happiness, not internal, like you said, it's not going to change who you are.
Yeah.
If you hate yourself, if you hate your situations, it doesn't matter how much money you have. Ultimately, you got to go to bed by yourself.
Yeah. I would say money can buy you temporary happiness.
There's a great, I think it's Daniel Tosh joke. He's like, it might be, no, I think it's Daniel Tosh. He's like, they say money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you a jet ski. And try frowning on one of those things. Yeah. And he's like, okay, like a huge smile. I was like, it's true. It can buy you fun things.
Yeah.
But I think right now, the world that most of us are living in is just like, if someone handed me a check for $10,000 right now, it would really take a lot of stress off of my life. And if I didn't have that stress, I would be happier. Until you get the
taxes. And then you're like, I only walked away with
$7.
Yeah.
Anyway, 63% agreed that money does buy you happiness, and 33% disagreed. Moving on to our next one. This was interesting, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not exactly sure where I fall on this one, and I want to see
where do I
what
fall?
You think. But I can't speak for you, but this has never been a part of my life, so I don't have the experience here. It says, if you date someone, you need to tell them that you have a low libido before intimacy.
What a weird question.
Yeah, I mean, it's a statement, I guess, but it's
a weird, unpopular opinion. Go ahead.
Let me tell you this.
Okay.
This was almost 50-50. I was shocked because I understand that there's a lot of people I know a lot of people that are going to be voting on this.
Yeah.
I didn't look and see, but I know the background of many people here.
Yeah.
And I really thought this would be more polarizing.
It's not.
But it was 48% agree, 52% disagree. So 48% agree, just to clarify, that if you date someone, you need to tell them that you have a low libido before intimacy.
What an interesting question to have to answer. I understand why people would say that they agree. I live in a world where I go, I think you should definitely talk about intimacy prior to being intimate. And if that's a part of the conversation, then that's a part of the conversation. I would also argue, this is lots of thoughts. I would also argue that a lot of, I would say girls specifically might not know if they have a low libido.
Which we learned from Come As You Are.
Yeah, which is a book.
A myth. Read it. We've talked about it before. Read it. Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like 100%, I would say read the book because it's amazing and it's great and it gives you a different perspective, especially if you're a female and a male as well. You learned a lot from reading the book as well, even though it's mostly meant. It's meant for women.
Yeah, and P.S., if you are on a sports team, you're not just trying to get better. You're trying to study the other teams to see how you can work with that too. So it's the same thing. If you want to know how to, like, if you are a straight male who is wanting to date women or be married to a woman, dude, it's a book of secrets. Go read it.
Yeah, and I would say you read 52 books last year, and at the end of the year, you said that was the best read.
Yeah,
that
top two for sure.
Yeah. So just for you guys, but yeah, in that book they talk about libido and how it's not real, it's a myth, and it's more about things that step on the accelerator versus things that step on the brake.
Yeah.
Which that was opposite, I think, of what I just did. But yeah. So I would say, here's what I'll say. Read the book, but also my answer is if we can break the question down to, should you talk about your fears, your confidence, whatever, and intimacy with your partner prior to being intimate? Yes, I do. I think you should totally talk about that. And you should be on the same page before that. And if talking about your libido,
for lack of a more accurate term,
is a part of that conversation, then I think it's important. Then I think you guys need to talk about it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But every person is different. And every relationship is different. I don't think you can just put a blanket thing of like, yes, do this. So,
100%.
But I do think it's important to talk about it. And I think it's important to continue talking about it and to be honest and open with how you're feeling, where you're at, your fears, your wants. And remember, never yuck somebody's yum.
Ooh, another great thing for the book.
So I'm not doing that with this either. I don't want to.
No, totally. I'm on the same page with you with all this stuff. A few things that I'd throw in. I wouldn't say statistically speaking because I haven't seen it, but I can tell you from experience and what I know of other people that some of the biggest problems, at least in a marriage, finances and intimacy. Mm-hmm. Those are like, there's others, but those are some of the big two.
Yeah, she talks about that in the book, I think, as well.
Probably. It's been a year or two since I read the book. Still worth it. But I think it does come down to communication and comprehension. Mm-hmm. We've talked about it on the show too. Communication is key, but comprehension is key. Sure, anybody can talk, but can you listen? Can you listen in a way that is compassionate, that's understanding, that doesn't have defensiveness in it? Can you comprehend and have compassionate love and understanding for your partner, especially when their feelings or desires don't align with yours?
Yeah.
And that's tricky. So do you need to tell someone before you have intimacy? You don't need to tell anybody anything.
Yeah.
But I hope that the person that you settle down with or have settled down with, I hope no discussions off the table.
Yeah.
I hope, and we've both been in many different relationships with people who don't want to talk about certain things, and that's normal. I think what I really love and appreciate about being married to you is there's really nothing that's off the table.
That's true. We talk about everything.
Yeah, and I think that's because I had met you before, but when we started developing our friendship and then dating, I was already at this point where I was like, hey, there's a lot of stuff you have to know about me, having been married and a kid and my experience and all this stuff, where I basically laid out like, this is what you get.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, great. I love it. And I was like, oh, then what else can't I talk to her about? I can talk to her about anything. So even though it was, I don't wish it upon anybody to start from such a rocky place, it opened up the door for us to have communication about any and everything.
Yeah.
Just about.
Yep.
And even the things that have been particularly hard to talk about, we figured it out.
Yeah.
We figured it out individually, together, and with a therapist to help us figure out how to figure it out personally, individually, and together.
Yeah.
So I hope that whoever you're with, you can talk about that, whatever it is, without fear of judgment or scorn. I don't think you need to talk about it before, but I think communication and comprehension is important, or it's massively important.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to that one?
No, I think you said it all. I could keep going, but yeah, I think it's good.
All right. Well, we got two more.
Okay, I'm ready.
One that is you are uniquely qualified to talk about, but I'm going to hold off on that. I'm going to go with this one, which is interesting to me. The statement was, "Now is the best time in human history to be alive."
No.
You don't think so?
I mean,
60% of people agreed with you that it is not the best time to be alive.
No, I think that we are on the brink of not extinction, because that's not accurate, but the brink of developing technology that will start to be the demise of our civilization as we know it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a very strong opinion, and I know that. I love the technology that we have. I love the ability to FaceTime with my family when they're far away. I think it's so cool. But I wish that we could slow down a bit. And so I don't think this is the best time to be alive. I think either you want to be alive in like the start of the country when it's like super fun.
Not me.
Not fun.
Nope, not me.
Or I just don't want to be alive necessarily now during this time. It's great. Everything is great. Everything's awesome. But
No,
I think technology is moving too fast for me.
I agree.
And I know that's what old people say. But truly, like, it's crazy that we are a part of the generation that knew life with pagers before phones.
Pre-internet.
Yeah. And our kids will never know that. Yeah. Like the growth is just so exponential. Mm-hmm. I just don't, I'm scared. This is deep. I'm scared of what's to come in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And I know I'll hopefully still be alive for it. And that's scary to me. It's not exciting. Yeah. It's terrifying.
I love what you said about the technology piece. I'm not going to, there's a story that I want to talk about later that'll hit on some of my similar worries. So I'll save that for that point. Here's what I'd say. And we've talked about it on the show before. I wouldn't last in any other time period.
That's probably true.
Pre-internet. Well, I could last pre-internet. And I would argue that I probably enjoyed my life more pre-internet, but that was also childhood. When we didn't have phones to be stuck to. We didn't have immediate access from people, or like people didn't have immediate access to us at any given moment. Yeah. Where you weren't going to get a text followed by a text 90 seconds later that goes, "Pat, where's the answer?"
Yeah.
Which I get from some people.
Sorry.
But I can't think of how far back I could go and still enjoy the things that I've become accustomed to.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here at the start of the country. Forget that.
Yeah, it's probably not
for me. But anyway.
Do you have a time frame that you'd like to be, if you could be born in any other time frame except for this one, do you have one? You have to pick something.
If I had to pick something.
You have to.
So not born in, but like currently living in. Yeah. I think the 80s would have been fun. 60s, 70s, or 80s probably would have been fun. Obviously, all of those decades come with their own drawbacks.
Yeah.
But what? That's lame to you?
It's fine. It's good. It's good. It's good.
I think the 80s looked fun. I was alive in the 80s, but not live enough to appreciate it.
Yeah.
70s, disco, fun, funk. 60s, Woodstock, make love, not war. A lot of good stuff like that. A lot of stuff that feels important. And, stuff that is like civil rights marches and things that some of that's still happening now. But I'd want to be on the right side of history if I lived in those times, to be a part of that stuff. So anyway, what about you? Do you have a time period? Did you just ask me that so you could answer the question?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I truly wanted to know, like, where you went pretty recent. I was like either ancient Egypt.
Wow.
Or
that sounds terrible.
Probably, but you wouldn't know any different, like, if you lived then, but to do that. But truly, probably living in England, living out my best Bridgerton dreams, going to balls, getting dressed up.
Let's talk about Bridgerton. Has there ever been a scene in a bathroom in Bridgerton? What do they do to go to the bathroom?
They have, what are they called? Those things that you...
Bedpans?
Yeah.
That's when you want to be alive.
Hear me when I say...
pee and poop in a pan in your room.
Hear me when I say this. I understand that there are some things that are not great. I specifically said I'd want to be a part of like the rich part of that.
All right, gold-plated bedpans.
No. I understand that it's not great. I'm just saying I think it would be cool. That's all. I want to go to the. We don't have enough balls and get dressed up.
True.
Like that. Like it just doesn't exist now.
No.
But I do love the time frame we live in terms of like culture and
Sure.
some access to stuff, but you say it all the time, like our brains were never designed to take in this much amount of information, especially negative information, because we can literally pull up our phones and see what's happening across the world right now, good, bad, or otherwise, it doesn't matter. You can see it and you get funneled that information, and it's so much, and it's hard. It's harder to determine, like, how do I get involved, and how, or do I need to, or like, what do I say? And it's easier for people to judge you if you don't say things, but it's like, how
It's tricky. Yeah.
like how do you make everyone happy? Sorry.
The phrase that we usually use is like, our brains were not designed to handle all of the suffering of the world in real time.
Yeah.
We're just not made to consume everyone's pain at every given second when it's happening. And I think what's tricky, and you were starting to get at, is that silence is violence mentality of like, everyone needs to say where they stand on everything.
Yeah.
I think there's times where you need to speak up.
For sure.
But not every single thing.
I'm just not educated enough on every single thing. And
totally.
I can't.
And you can't take the time to be educated about every single thing. Let me give you one more and then we'll get to the stories, okay? Uniquely to you, salaried employment is worse than hourly.
That is a good question, isn't it? So for those of you that don't know, I've done both. So I was on salary for a while, and I also, obviously, like most people, was paid hourly. You know, which one's better? Is that unpopular opinion?
They said that salaried employment is worse than hourly. So the general consensus is like, it'd be great to be on salary, but this is saying that's not true.
There are pros and cons.
Yeah.
There are pros and cons. And I would say if you can figure it out for yourself and be confident in your decision as a salaried employee, then it works. But the truth is, and we used to say this at work, my old boss used to say it to us all the time, and we let those of us on salary, which was just two of us, agreed, that somebody always loses out. It's either the employer or the employee that loses out. And you just it's hard to say you have to decide at times, but I would say the truth is that when you're a salaried employee, there are sometimes that you win and sometimes that you lose.
Yeah.
The losing is everyone's out because you had a COVID outbreak and you're required to be out by the health department and you're the only one who can't. And so you're working 15-hour shifts.
Yeah.
You're the one on call. You're the one who's there when they have an issue at closing and an issue at opening. The positive side of it is you are planned a vacation that is going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Guess what? If you work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they have to pay you for the full week, even if you take off the rest of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's pros and cons, I would say, for each. Personally, my preference is hourly. After being a salary employee, it took me a long time to figure out that I didn't always have to answer the phone when I was in the middle of dinner with my family.
Or 2 a.m.
Or 2 a.m.
Security's calling you.
Even though that is the unspoken expectation that you put on yourself. And the overtime. You get overtime when you're on hourly. You do not get that when you're on salary. Like I said, but pros and cons. If you have a good relationship with your with your boss and you can talk through things, like I said, it's that thing of like, you could work 4 days a week and then have 3-day weekend and you're going to get paid the same. It doesn't matter as long as you're getting your work done, but it just depends on your relationship. This is a long-winded answer. It depends on your relationship with your employer.
Yeah. I'll keep mine short. I prefer salary, but I'm not the type of person that's good with that because I have bad boundaries and I like to try to be everything to everyone. Yeah. So I will often be the one who loses out because I do, answer my phone in the movies. I do struggle to feel like I can, quote, turn it off. Yeah. Not just the phone, but turn off work. That feeling of always being on call, which I lived a decade of that. Yep. It's hard to find peace in that moment unless you're that type of person who's like, oh, I know, but I leave work at work. Yeah. But that's not how I'm wired. No. Yeah. So I actually wouldn't prefer salary for that reason.
Yeah, you said you did, and then you said you didn't.
Because if I had better boundaries, it'd be good.
Yeah. And I think I would agree. I had better boundaries at the end of my employment, at my previous employment. But if you remember correctly, we were on our honeymoon, and every night I would check the communication platforms so that I wouldn't be behind, because I didn't want to be behind. I didn't want to have to take time to figure it out when I got back. It was very unhealthy.
you're saying what you were doing was unhealthy.
Super unhealthy.
Yeah, I agree.
But it was a pressure that you put on yourself and the boundary that I couldn't make.
You and I are the type of people who take a lot of pride in ownership. You know, so it's hard to turn off.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that that's changed for you.
Yeah.
Well, no, it hasn't. It's gotten far worse.
Yeah, but it's on my own terms now. Like
That's true.
if I don't respond, then like it's a decision I'm making to say that maybe that gig isn't that important to me.
Yeah, that's true.
Or me saying like I might lose out on that gig.
And that's okay.
And I get to make that decision. It's not like I'm letting somebody else down. I'm just letting myself down.
Yeah.
But
which in some ways is easier.
Yeah, and at the same time, it is about having good boundaries, and I think it is okay to turn it off and say this is family time and I'm going to just be with my family, or I need a night off and I just need to have some self-care. It's so important.
Yeah.
So I'm an hourly girly, guys. Do it if you can.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a wise choice. Let's move on to a few stories with the last part of the show. This one you'll probably remember when this happened.
Okay.
Here's the story's headline. Amish men shunned after nationwide emergency alert outs them for having phones.
Oh, because it goes off.
Uh-huh. So I think this was nationwide. I think the government sent out that. So no matter where you were, your phone vibrated, not just vibrated.
It went off.
It went off like an Amber Alert.
Yeah.
And so that's what's happened here with the Amish community, which is not allowed to have.
Did a lot of them have?
Things. Well, I'll give you the highlights.
Okay.
So here's what it says. Members of the Amish community have been, quote, shunned by their church after a recent test of the emergency alert system outed them as having procured forbidden mobile phones. Oof. The alarms were a part of we talked about that, nationwide security alert drill by the government on October 4th. So this was just a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week ago, and drew attention of community elders in, guess what state? Ohio.
I was going to say Utah, but Ohio, that's Mormons. Sorry.
Yeah. So here's what I didn't know. So I deep dove into it a little bit. In Amish culture, the practice of shunning involves a separation of a person from their community. A person is no longer allowed to eat or take rides with other community members or engage with most community activities.
Dang.
It occurs when members are found to have violated community rules or strayed from tradition. Sources said that the shunning members were in the middle of a visit with a community elder to discuss a shunning for different reasons. Yeah.
Oh.
When the alert on this person's phone went off.
Uh-oh.
So, first of all, we got to talk about this shunning thing at some point and why this is happening. Devices include television, automobiles, telephones, or tractors are considered to be a temptation that could cause vanity.
They can't have tractors?
I guess not.
Okay, so vanity and...
Vanity, create inequality, or lead the Amish away from their close-knit community.
Rumspringa doesn't do any of that.
What is that word?
Pretty sure that's what it is. The Amish, in the Amish culture, religion, culture. I think when someone, I think it's when they turn 18, they get to go into the real world and they get to like try it all out and determine if they want to come back and continue to be Amish or live in the real world. I'm pretty sure it's called a Rumspringa. Are you impressed a little bit?
Like a lot of it. Das Rumspringa.
I'm pretty sure it's what it's called. But I'm like, that wouldn't cause division as these kids go out and probably like,
But I think that's the point.
Yeah,
it's the prodigal son. It's the sowing your wild oats.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things to do is anytime someone has come out of a system or worldview, to hear their stories.
Yes.
And I actually have had some Amish, or I don't know if it's exiled or excommunicated, probably excommunicated, Amish TikTok people, shunned people, talk about their experiences and stuff. And I'm always like, what? I love that. Like I thrive in it. But what was happening here was there was a dude who was thrown out of the Amish culture, who was securing and giving cell phones to some of his friends that are still in there.
For what? What reason?
They asked for him.
They just wanted them?
Yeah. Because who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
were they like iPhones or like flip phones?
No, I think they were iPhone. I think they were at least smartphones. I don't know that they were iPhones. There's a lot of things you could see on an iPhone.
Rumspringa all the time, am I right?
Gross.
Sorry.
So that's how it happened. But it's weird to still have parts of culture that emphasize shaming and shunning people.
Yeah.
I understand consequences. We just had this conversation all week with our kid. Yeah. Consequences versus punishments. There's consequences for your actions. But
punishments is not something we do in our family. I just
want to make that. Yeah. Anyway, I was sad for all those people who are now getting it. Like, I know it's kind of silly,
Yeah.
But it is also pretty sad for these people.
True. So can I ask, I don't know how much you deep dived or how much you know about Amish culture, but
And
when
to
you
clarify,
get shunned,
we are not experts.
Yeah.
And we're probably
No,
getting
no.
all of this wrong.
Fact checked us, huh?
Please don't.
But I was going to ask you a question.
When someone gets shunned.
When someone gets shunned, I know you said like they can't eat or whatever.
Go to community events. They can't ride with people like in a horse-drawn
Can you
chariot.
ever be unshunned? Number one,
think
if that's
so.
the incorrect way to say that, or does that mean that you are no longer a part of the Amish society and so you have to get out?
Yeah, so I'm going to speculate wildly here.
Okay.
Based on just things that I've seen and heard. I think there's a difference between getting like excommunicated or ostracized versus getting shunned. It sounds like shunned is a punishment, not a permanent.
Like maybe you're shunned for like 6 months or a month or something.
Yeah, that's my guess, but who freaking knows?
Yeah.
Not me.
Oof.
All right, we got time for one more.
Okay.
Full disclosure on this one.
Yeah.
I started reading this because I was like, this is hilarious.
Okay.
And then it really brought about some real problems and I don't know if it's ethical conversations. You'll understand though. It went from funny to this is interesting.
Okay.
The headline is AI girlfriend encouraged man to attempt crossbow assassination of Queen
Of Queen?
of England, who is now not with us anymore.
How old is this article?
God rest her soul. It's from the article is brand new.
Was this like the current queen then?
No, I don't. The
not
current queen?
Yes. I mean, the king of England is now what? King Charles? Is that his name?
Look, this
Andrew?
is America.
Charles.
Look, okay, so I
This is
pulled it
terrible.
up though.
But
It
Camilla.
is the original queen,
Oh, okay.
the OG queen, the first queen of it. No, the most recent Queen Elizabeth. Yeah,
Because technically there is a queen. There's like a specific name for her, but she is the queen because she's married to the king.
perfect.
But she's
It's not her.
Yeah. Okay.
No. So this article just came out, but it happened last December
Okay.
because now he's on trial. Would you
Okay.
like to know more?
Yes. I mean, I was just what I was initially going to say was like,
Yeah.
see, it's what I told you about technology and moving too fast. Like
Yeah,
an
but-
AI girlfriend is like, kill somebody. I'm like, guys, I think maybe we should slow down.
Slow it down.
AI, I don't need it. Truly.
I do.
I don't think it's that cool.
I just think it needs to get regulated, and I'll explain.
Yeah,
as
and
we get
SAG
in
and
here.
AFTRA, those people are people and should be able. I'm a part of SAG and AFTRA, so I should say this. But yeah, don't try to make us into AI and pay us nothing to be an AI background person. No. Come on.
So here's how the story goes. A man jailed after an AI chatbot encouraged him to try to assassinate the Queen of England with a crossbow.
Chatbot.
The man wanted revenge for, and I'm sure I'm going to mess this up. I apologize. Jallianwala Bagh massacre of 1919.
Did you look up? I'm so sorry. 1919.
19, yeah. So, but here's the problem. This is important. It is 100 years old.
I know.
Not to say that
It's over 100 years old.
Yeah, at this point. That was when the British Army opened fire on a crowd of peaceful
Not cool.
protesters. And let's see. Oh, peacefully protesting the Rowlatt Act, a controversial piece of legislation aimed at cracking down on Indian nationalists fighting for independence. It's estimated that up to 1,500 protesters in Punjab, British India were killed.
Okay.
So big deal problem.
Big deal problem. The queen was not alive during that time. Let's just be very clear.
How old was she when she died?
Not 100.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I agree.
And it was, 2022 was when she passed away. So like it's over 100 years.
Yes. Oh, we'll get into it. So here's the article continues. The man had been conversing with an AI chatbot almost every night for 2 weeks, exchanging over 5,000 messages.
Okay.
The virtual relationship reportedly developed into a romantic and sexual one with the man declaring his love for the chatbot.
Okay. My question was going to be, like just a random chatbot? Or like, do you know what I mean? Like where?
Yeah, it talked about the company that made it, but it didn't say what it was. Now look, you can
was
use
it an Amazon? Like you're talking to an Amazon chatbot? Was it like, do you know what I mean?
Where's my package?
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I was curious.
No, it wasn't any chatbot that I had heard of.
Okay.
And that's why, and I didn't want to bring
It's
the
a sexy
company's
time
name.
chatbot.
I don't know if it's exclusively for that, but I have heard plenty of companies that are doing that.
Okay.
Which honestly, I think there's a place for that. If you have no one in your life, but you can have a friend, even though it's a chatbot, we all know that AI can be so good that you don't know that you're talking to a computer. There's no shortage of self-deception in the world.
Until it tries to get you to assassinate the Queen of England.
And that's where the problem lies. I'm not saying that it's a good thing to be so self-deluded and delusional that you think you have a relationship with a piece of computer code. I don't think that's healthy either.
No.
But I do think that not everybody has the luxuries of having many friends or many opportunities, or maybe they're home-ridden or bed-ridden. Like, I think there are pros to it. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of what you're talking about is how I'm feeling too. So I took some notes here. We talked about technology is too good for our brains to handle.
Yeah.
I think there's a real danger here. And we've already seen how like extremist message boards can push people towards violence.
Yeah.
And if we're being honest, many of these people are young white men who have felt scorned or shamed, and they're committing these acts of violence, generally happening to innocent people that have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
My fear is that smart people with bad motives will use this type of technology to carry out their missions and atrocities.
Of course. You're already seeing it. You talk about, I know QAnon wasn't like that crazy. There's a good documentary about it. You should go watch it.
Yeah, I think it's called Into the Storm.
Yeah, but it was just some random dude who didn't even really necessarily believe what he was talking about. Just trying to get
a rise out of people.
Yeah, just trying to see if people could do what he asked them to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good example of like people with power, but with bad motives being like, I'm going to use that to have people do crazy stuff.
Yeah. And so that's exactly what it is. Now imagine if that's not one person doing that. It's tens of thousands of AI bots and computer code spreading it everywhere. I mean, we're already seeing some of that happening.
Yeah.
But to be so specific, to be able to have technology that's like, if I say this, I know enough about this person that if I say this way, that's going to connect with them.
Yeah.
It goes on to say that the chatbot encouraged the guy to do it. And it was like, I believe that you can do it. I think it's a great idea. And don't worry, like, I think you'll succeed.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's pretty nuts that it's not regulated, and I'm sure it's a little bit different now. But that, as I was talking about earlier, I wanted to talk about here, is there's got to be regulations for this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's bad to have a fake friend.
Yeah.
I do think it's not going to be okay to be unregulated. And like you said, you're like, this thing that he's mad about happened 100 years ago.
Yeah.
All you have to do is turn on the news right now to look and see how groups of people are angry about something that happened 100 years ago.
For sure.
Now imagine that type of anger, but also just getting magnified and encouraged because of a digital code.
Who doesn't have any emotions or empathy, or it's not built into the program.
Let me go even a step further, and this is the wacky part. But I'm seeing AI, I'm not going to say become self-aware.
Yeah.
But let's say you've got a computer that's like, you know what the problem is with Earth? The people.
Yeah.
AI is not going to end civilization like Terminators coming in. It's going to be like, let's turn them against themselves. One of the best illustrations I heard about this was that if AI or robots, whatever, fill in the blank, for us, it's AI, is going to end civilization.
Yeah.
It's not going to be this big dramatic thing for them, in the same way that when your house has a ton of ants in it, you're like, oh man, and you spray them and you wipe them and you don't even think about it.
Yep.
That's what it could be for people.
That's true.
And imagine if the AI code is just like, oh yeah, this will be easy. Boom, 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 we're all done. So AI, I think, is a wonderful opportunity that comes with far greater negative implications and potential.
AI? Nah, that's whack.
But also, a crossbow?
Yeah, of all things. Unless it's like the one that Daryl has.
Oh, from Walking Dead.
Yeah, then I'm like, okay, I get it.
I'm on board. I'm on board.
But maybe not the Queen, who's already dead, rest in peace, but also was great.
The Queen was great.
Yeah.
Loved her work.
And her corgis.
And her corgs. I have no idea what the Queen does, whatever.
She was beloved by all of her people.
That is true.
The monarchy is weird. We can talk about that another time.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
What are you looking forward to this week?
We are in the working hard part of this show. Yeah, we are.
I'm
busy.
preparing, but
So I'm getting on a flight tonight.
Yeah, you
to
are.
go back to Vegas with my guy Corey live.
Hey, Corey.
We have a gig.
That was weird. Sorry. Hey, Corey.
We have a gig Wednesday night that we'll talk about probably on the show.
Yep.
If I think I can talk about it. But so heading to Vegas. You talked about it a little bit earlier. We got Shim's birthday festivities.
We're also hanging out with our friend Scott. He's taking us to a drag show. I'm super stoked about
Brunch,
it.
baby. We got to order some of those fans.
I think he said it's included in his
fan is?
introing. I'm not actually sure. I'm kind of joking, but
Hilarious.
I'm hopeful. We'll see.
Yeah, so we got that. A lot of work, a lot of stuff on the table. We'll keep you updated on it and make sure that you stay up to date with us on Instagram at Hardly Working Insta. And you can always send whatever you want to hardlyworkingfans@gmail.com.
Yep.
We do have the TikTok locked in, but we got to change it up. So we'll let you know more about that later. But don't forget, if you're still listening to this, you've made it to the end. You are the best of us.
And we love you the most.
And if you've got we love you most. We really do. But if you've got a costume or something you want to send in, not for next week, but for the week after,
Let us know.
send it in. We'll start putting those together.
See if
and
I
we'll
can
have
make it happen.
Good time.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to? Anything I missed?
I have a girl night with Brooklyn. My parents are back in town. They were just on a cruise. They had their 41st. Is that what it is?
That's what normal humans call
41st
it.
wedding anniversary last week.
We should have them on the show and do a whole deep dive on their experience.
Right? We should. That'd be really cool.
It would be fun.
But so they are back in town. I'm excited to see them. I'm excited to hang out with Shim and celebrate her birthday and drag show with Scott. Honestly, I'm stoked.
It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be a good week. And then we're heading into Halloween here soon. And I'm excited in my own way about that.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm not really a Halloween girly. I'm more of a fall girly.
Yeah.
And the girlies will understand that. But Halloween, once you get to Halloween, it's Christmas season. I know there's Thanksgiving.
I've conceded to that. November 1st is Christmas now.
Once we pass Halloween, we can decorate for Christmas. And it is December's my birthday month and my favorite holiday, probably because my birthday lands in that month. But it is my favorite time of year. And so I'm just excited to decorate for Christmas.
And you'll be with us for Hardly Holidays. That's going to be a good time. We haven't nailed down exactly what it'll be, but it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. Well, I hope your week is full of joy and happiness and that you spend most of your time hardly working at all.
That's sweet.
Oh, I love you.
I love you too.
And we love you guys.
Bye.
All right. Gotta go.